So I hope my screen is visible to all of you. It's properly visible. Can someone confirm? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for your confirmation. So hello everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining. So let's start with the today's LinkedIn live session. So today we are going to deep dive into a really interesting and the powerful topic, I can say, that is automating Docker with Terraform. So those who are new to the Docker or Terraform, don't worry, I will be going through the quick explanation of the basic concepts which we are going to use while implementing this particular real-time use case. So I will cover that. So before starting the session, let me introduce myself first. So my name is Pradnya Deshpande. I'm having 8 years of IT experience, specializing in Azure Cloud and the DevOps practices. I have gained hands-on expertise with Azure Infrastructure Services, Terraform, Docker, and the Azure DevOps. So over the years, I have worked with multiple banking and manufacturing customers based out of Asia Pacific region and help them to secure, manage, and build scalable infrastructures. So I'm a passionate learner and a DevOps enthusiast as well. So I'm really glad to be here to share my knowledge and learn together. So that's pretty much about me. So without further delays, I would like to start with the session. So let me walk you through the agenda of today's session. So this session will last it will be around 45 to 60 minutes. And as a part of today's session, we will be dividing it into the two sections. In the first section, we will be covering the Docker fundamentals and the Terraform concepts and its workflow, how the Terraform workflow it is. So that I will be explaining you. So this overall takes around 20 to 25 minutes for the first section. And in the later part of the session, I will be giving you the implementation overview and the actual hands-on for the real-time use case. So this is the agenda for today's session. So let's start with the Docker first. So nowadays we are like lot many things we heard, and those comes into picture when we heard about Docker, Terraform, and the other DevOps tools. So as a part of this use case, we are going to integrate Docker and Terraform. So what exactly is the Docker? Few of you might be already knowing, working on it, but let me just go through quickly from these key concepts who are new to the Docker. So Docker, in a simple term, if we go, it's an open source platform which helps to deploy, develop, and manage and to run your applications using the containerization technology. So this overall helps and enables to separate your applications from the infrastructures, which makes it lightweight. That's the reason it's become popular nowadays. So when we come to this Docker, these three terminologies are really important. So let me first go through the Docker image, what exactly it is. So this Docker image is nothing but a read-only template or the instructions based on that the container will be created. So it's a lightweight and standalone package. And this is what everything we need to run the application. So over the Docker Hub, which is available. So over the Docker Hub, we have the lot of base images. The official images are available. So you can uh, you can pull those images and use those as in when required. So this is about the Docker image. The next, what about the Docker containers? So whenever you have a Docker image, only with that, if it works, so whenever you need a container, so it's nothing but a running instance of your Docker image. And the next comes as a Docker file. So as I mentioned, over the Docker Hub, we have multiple official images. The base images are available. But when it comes to your actual production grade work or the project work, it's not that all the time you can go ahead and use the base images or the images which are available publicly. You need, let's suppose you need some customization. How you can do that? So that you can do it with the Docker files. So this Docker file is nothing but a text file in which you can provide the set of instructions, which ports you need, which base image you need, what commands you want to run, all the things. So multiple instructions you can mention in the Docker file, and based on that Docker file which you have prepared, the base image or the custom image, it will be created. And that using that particular image, you can you can run into into the Docker container. So this is the pretty much about the Docker key concepts from the use case point of view. And if you want to learn the Docker, these are the key concepts you should know. So here in the right hand side, yeah, I have just added for the reference purpose. So if you have your Docker file, and when you build it, based on your Docker file, your Docker image will be built, and then it will be pushed to your container. So it's the simple view for the reference purpose I have added. So let me move to the next part, which is Terraform. So Terraform, it's again a popular infrastructure as a code tool. So how this helps? Like when you want to build and automate your infrastructure, you want reusable code and want to scale your infrastructure. So for all these uh, purposes, Terraform helps you. So Terraform uses the HashiCorp language, the HCL language in common terms, it's known as. And for this Terraform, we have the multiple providers available. So if you go to the Terraform official registry, you can see the multiple providers are available. So when you want to use the Terraform, at that time, you need to prepare the configuration files. Those are with the extension .tf. In the later part of the session, we will be going through it. So what exactly the Terraform or that .tf or the configuration file contains? So multiple blocks we have to define the basic Terraform configuration file. It requires the provider block and the resource block. So let's understand what exactly it is. First, I'll go through the provider block. So let's suppose you want to create a few resources. Let's take an example of a resource group in Azure or any cloud platform you can take. You want to create that. So how, you prepared a configuration file, you referred the Terraform documentation, you created the configuration file for that. But how Terraform will get to know on which platform that needs to be deployed or where exactly that resource needs to be created? So here, that provider block is important. So if you want to deploy or use the Azure cloud, you need to mention in your provider block Azure as your provider, you need to use the same provider. So here in this use case, which we are going to deploy, Docker provider we will be using. So multiple providers are available. I will show you and walk you through the Terraform registry page as well in the later part. So that's why this provider block is really important, so that Terraform can understand with which cloud or with which platform exactly Terraform needs to interact. The next part, it comes as a resource block. So when we want to create the infrastructure, what are all the components required, which resources you want to create. So let's suppose, as I mentioned in the previous example, I want to create a resource group. So for the resource group, what are all the things I need? Only if I mention the resource block and it's empty, will Terraform will create that? Like, does it understand? No. So even though if you want to create a resource block from the Azure portal, let's suppose, what you need to mention the resource, like resource group name. What else you need? You like in which or at what location you want to create that. Everything you need to mention. So it's this, in the similar way, using this resource block, you can define your components to prepare your infrastructure. So, like again in the example which I mentioned, the Docker container or the Docker image. So these are considering our today's use case. So in short, for the today's Terraform and the Docker integration, which we are going to see, these two we will be using it. So let me move to the next part to go through the Terraform workflow. So now we understood that what like Terraform configuration file, what it should contain. It should contain the provider block, what resources you want, the resource block, everything you have written. But what next? You have the configuration files ready and you want to deploy it on your cloud platform, or like on your Azure, AWS, or any other cloud platform. But which workflow that needs to be followed? How that how it should or how we can go to our end result. We have a configuration file, we have a cloud provider, but how your whatever you have written in your resource in your configuration file, how that will reflect to your cloud. So for that, this Terraform workflow uh, is very much important to understand, and we need to follow this workflow to prepare or like execute our prepare or build our infrastructure on the specified cloud platform. So the first, we just yeah, we just go through it. So the first, it's a init. That means the Terraform initialization. What you can do with the init? So you need to execute the Terraform init command. When you execute this Terraform init command, it initializes your Terraform, downloads whatever the providers you have mentioned. Let's suppose you want to, you have mentioned Docker as a provider. So it will download those required providers. It will download those Docker related files and prepare your workspace. So before you go ahead with the implementation or actual you execute the code, for that whatever the readiness, the initialization that needs to be done, that you can achieve with Terraform init command or the initialization one. The next comes into picture for the validate. What you can do when what Terraform will do when you execute a Terraform validate command. So this validates your configuration file, whatever the code you have written, that validation Terraform validate command do, and after that we can move with the plan command, or the plan, which is the third stage of this Terraform workflow. So with the Terraform plan, whatever whatever the configuration, it's been written in the configuration file, It prepares the plan for the execution. So it will check like what is your desired state, your and what is your current state of your infrastructure. So it compares that, and based on that, it will it would you will get a preview of what you are going to implement using this Terraform plan command, or the plan workflow, plan stage of the particular of this Terraform workflow. The next and the important, apply. So when you execute this Terraform apply, whatever you have previewed in your Terraform plan and written in your configuration file, using this Terraform apply command, that will be executed, and those resources will be created on your cloud or the provider which you have mentioned. So if you want to create the Docker images, so when you execute this Terraform apply command, that image will be created. You want to create a resource group on any cloud platform, then that you can see that's it's been created on the cloud platform. So this is where this apply command we need to use. And the last one, it's a Terraform destroy command. So if you want to revoke all the resources, you want to delete those resources, that you can achieve using the Terraform destroy command. So this is overall the 5-stage workflow which we need to follow when using a Terraform. So I hope this the quick explanation for the key concepts which we are going to use in the implementation are like, at least you are having the basic understanding now. So let's move with the implementation overview, which we will see in few minutes how we can deploy it. So what we are going to do as a part of Terraform configuration files, which I have mentioned while explaining, I have created, or we have this main.tf file where all our Terraform related code, our provider, which provider we are going to use, along with that, what are all the resources are needed, everything is written in this main.tf file, which is the Terraform configuration file. And using the Terraform workflow, which we have gone through, I just explained it. So using this Terraform workflow, we will create this Docker image and the Docker container. So we can see the Docker image will be created based on the configuration written in the Terraform file, and a Docker container. So this is a simple, for the simple understanding, I have prepared the overall diagram, the high level diagram which we have. And the question comes again that might be in your mind. So what about the other two files which here in the diagram I have represented? So again, for this part, whatever using this index.html and the Docker file which we have, this we can go through in the later part. First, we will go with the basic workflow and the implementation. Then we can I'll demonstrate you how, for the custom part, if you want, using the Docker file, if you want to again integrate and do it with the Terraform, how we can do that. So that customization in the last part I will demonstrate it to you. So yeah, so before moving to our the hands-on demonstration, what are all the prerequisites we have? So like on your machine, your Terraform should be installed, Docker should be available and installed, and along with that, the basic understanding of the Terraform syntax and the Docker operations. And along with that, again, this one is the optional, the GitHub account for, again, for the Terraform files managing we need. So yeah, so these are some basic prerequisites we have for the lab. So let's dive into action. Let me just, okay. So as a part of this demonstration, I will be using the Visual Studio Code, the VS Code for the Terraform files, the configuration files. So while explaining for the Terraform, I went through the provider block and the resource block. So how we can decide which or like for the provider block, what are all the things we need to mention, how the resource block, what are all the syntax or the terminologies which we need to implement here, so how we can get all the things. So don't worry, let me just walk you through the Terraform registry. So let me just refresh it. So this is again the Terraform official registry. Here you can see the multiple providers, modules, and the multiple options we have, the policy libraries and everything. So let's suppose I want to use the Azure provider, for example. You will get the multiple options here, the official images, or based on that, if you want the community tier ones. So everything is available here. Based on your requirement, you can choose it from here. So for this demonstration, as we are going to use the Docker, so let me just can see. So here, if we want to for the Docker providers, we have the multiple providers available here. I will be using this particular provider for today's demonstration. Okay, so how we can use it? So for this provider or any provider, if you choose, here you can see how like one option to use the provider. Here everything is mentioned, like what are all the parameters, which versions in source, what we need to mention. So you can take it from the official Terraform registry page. You can just copy this and like update it in your configuration file. So for this, what I have done, basically I have created one simple like a project or the folder I have created with a basic underscore live. And in that I have created a Terraform file main.tf. Okay, so it should be a .tf file in the HCL language, which we are able to see it here. So based on that, I have just added this provider block in which source based on the provider which I'm going to use I have mentioned and the version of it. So all the available versions, you can see it here. For this provider, if you want to refer the documentation, that also you can go and see it here. So I'll just come to this part. Let me just go through the code first. So here the provider Docker I have mentioned, and here you can see I have mentioned the host parameter here. So like as I'm going to demonstrate it on the Windows machine, so that's the reason I have just mentioned it. So if you're going to deploy and using on the Windows machine and using the Docker desktop, in that case, you need to mention that. Otherwise, you can keep this provider Docker block as a blank as well. But as it's a Windows based machine I'm using for the demonstration, I have mentioned it. The next comes as a resource block here. So here you can see the resource block I have mentioned, but here we have the two, like in the double quotes, I have mentioned two things. So what exactly it is? So whenever you create or mention a resource block, you want to mention it. At that time, these two are really important. The first part of this, a Docker underscore image, this is nothing but the resource type. What type of a resource you want to create? That is the first part here in the resource block I have mentioned. And the second part, sorry, in the second part, it's a Nginx, which I have mentioned. This is nothing but a local name for the referencing purpose, like the local name for this particular resource block I have mentioned. So, and in that, I have mentioned a name as a Nginx and the Alpine tag. So this particular image, which is available officially on the Docker Hub. So this base image, I'm going to we are going to create it using this Terraform resource block. So for this resource block, as we can see in the Docker provider, the provider which I'm using, here at the left pane, you can see the resource section. So in this particular provider, which we have chosen, in that these kind of resources are available. So there is one another part like the data resources. We are not going to use the data sources in this particular use case. So that's the reason I have not highlighted on that. But here the multiple resources we can create, and for each the documentation is available. So the first which we are going to use is a Docker image. So you can see it here. What are also in this, you can see all the things like which are the required parameters you need to mention, what are all the optional ones if you want to create in the customized one. So the required is the name, and all the optional parameters are mentioned here. So this documentation we need to refer. So as name is the required parameter, I have just mentioned it, only the name and the base image which I'm going to use. So Nginx Alpine, I have mentioned it. The next one, which is also, this is another resource block. So again, the resource type is a Docker container, because as we have gone through the implementation overview, we want a Docker image and a Docker container. So the Docker image for that resource block we have already created, and in the next part we need to create a Docker container. So again, this is the resource type, and this will be the local name which we have. The here as well the parameters which we need. So the name of the container, so I'm mentioning that container which will be created when we execute all the Terraform workflow. I want the container with the name container1, and which image we need to use. So here you can directly or hard code the image name as well. But as we have created a resource block here, I have used it like the referencing. I have in the referencing purpose, I have mentioned it here. So if you can see here, then like this Docker image, the resource type dot its local name. So the same I'm using dot these much of things we can use it when we want a specific. So here I'm using Docker image dot nginx dot name. So this particular nginx Alpine, this particular thing from this resource block, it will be, so that I'm referencing it here. And from the port, so the internal and the external port, if you're that container for the internal communication, I'm using the port 80. And if you want your container to expose or connect outside as well, then the external port you need to mention. So in this way, I have prepared this overall the simple and the base, using the base image, the configuration file is prepared. I have explained it to you. So let's see how we can, like, for the execution purpose, how we can do that. So first, as I mentioned in the prerequisites, we need Terraform installed on the machine and the Docker. So let's check if the versions, like the installation and the latest versions which we have. So Terraform. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So the Terraform version, which is available on my system, it's visible. Let's check for the Docker as well. Sorry. Okay. So Terraform and the Docker versions, you're able to see it's installed properly. So we want to create this resources, this main.tf, this particular project basic underscore live, which is created. We want to execute that using the Terraform workflow. So let me just move to the same directory, the project directory. Okay. Okay. Now I'll what first I'll do, I'll initialize the Terraform. So using the Terraform init command. Terraform init. So you can see here the initializing the backend, the provider plugins, whatever the provider we have used here. So, and the version, if you can see, the same has been installed. So once we execute this initialization command, here you can see the .terraform folder is created, and in that the provider which we have mentioned, it's been now available. So the initialization is successfully completed. Now I'll just move to the Terraform validate. Let's just validate it first. Okay, so our configuration file, it's a valid. Now let's move to the Terraform plan. Okay, so this is like while explaining for the workflow I mentioned, it will be a preview of what you're going to create. So here you can see the resource actions are indicated with the following symbols. So here the plus sign, it's mentioned all here. So that means the resources will be created. If any destroy or any modifications, then accordingly we can see the changes here. So based on our configuration files, the Docker containers will be created. What are all the things like the parameters which we have mentioned? So here we can see the image we have mentioned in our configuration or .tf file. So the same, it's been reflected, Nginx Alpine. Then along with that, we have mentioned the container name, container1. We can see it here. Okay. And the next part for the ports, which we have mentioned, we can see the internal and the external port. So the second part, because we are going to create the two resources, the Docker image and the Docker container. So the first was related to the Docker container, and here you can see for the Docker images. So the image name is mentioned. So overall, as per the configuration file, two resources will be added. If any modifications or any destroy based on the configuration file, then those will be reflected. But here, as a part of this Terraform plan, only two resources will be added. So our Terraform plan, we have verified that is again all good. So let's go ahead and execute the Terraform apply. Okay, so here again, it will see two resources will be added. So I'll just click, so I'll just enter yes, so that our resources will be created. So the Nginx image is getting created and the container. So let's see, Docker images. So our Nginx image with a tag Alpine has been created. Now let's see for the containers, Docker PS. I'll just execute this. So the container ID, which image we have used for the container, the same image which we have, and the container name. So we mentioned in the configuration file the container name as a container1. So this is all as like executed successfully. So here, as we have used the base image, let's go to the browser and see the localhost. So this is as we have used the Nginx base image, the default Nginx page is reflected here. Okay, so this is like the very basic demonstration we have made, just to like walk you through the what exactly it happens using the base images and how these both like Docker and Terraform integrates. But as I mentioned, sorry, let me just go through here. So here in the implementation overview, here we have the index.html and a Docker file as well. The rest of the things are same. So let's see what happens, or like in the real-time projects when we do it, at that time we will be using the custom image, the custom image we need. So that that customization, we are going to do it using this Docker file and the index.html. So let me just move here. I'll just close this, and to avoid the confusions, I'll just destroy this whatever we have created. Terraform destroy. Okay. See, if I'm executing the Terraform destroy command, here the minus sign it's visible, and here you can see will be destroyed. And same for the image as well. So let me just enter yes. I'll provide the confirmation, and our resources are deleted. So let's confirm it again from here. No image. So it's the destroy command worked successfully. So let's just go through the customized version. So I'll just walk you through what I have done. What I did a very small changes, the minor changes I have done. So here it's a second project. You can see the custom code in which I have created one subdirectory called app. In that, I kept Docker file, a very basic Docker file in which I have just mentioned which image, the base image needs to be used. With the copy command, what it will do, it will use the index.html, the custom file which is there in this app subdirectory, index.html. And this using this, it will replace the default index.html page, and which port should be exposed. So it's a port 80. So this is a simple Docker file which we have, and in the index.html we are like using this. We are just going to see if this works. So I have mentioned the basic what as a part of this demonstration what we are going to do. So this is in the app folder I have kept, and in the main.tf. So again, the provider block, I kept everything as it is, no changes in that. Same provider we are going to use. In the resource block, the two resource blocks which we have. So for the container, it's the same. The image which we have used and the container name it's mentioned, and the ports, internal and external ports. It's again same as we have seen in the like the basic demo as well. And the another resource block for the Docker image, I have added here one additional parameter, that is the build part. So using this, what we are going to do, like in the app subdirectory, we have the two folders. So using the context, this particular parameter, it will what it will do, it will refer where my Docker file is. So it's in my app subdirectory. So that's the reason using the this I have mentioned context and the Docker file. So Terraform will read the Docker file which is available in this particular path. So these are the only things I have added. Rest other, I kept it same. Just the name here I have mentioned as an Nginx with the tag as a custom image. So these small changes I have made. So let's see how it works. Again, the same Terraform workflow we need to follow. So let me just go to project. Okay. Okay. So let's initialize the Terraform. Okay. So our Terraform initialization is successful. Now Terraform validate. Okay. The configuration is valid. We can see. Now let's execute Terraform plan. Okay. Here in the build configuration for the image, you can see in the context, the app subdirectory is it's reflected properly, and the Docker file the Docker file which you want to use. So everything is as per the requirements. It's all okay. Image Nginx with the custom image tag which we have mentioned. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and execute Terraform apply. Okay, I'll just enter yes, and our Docker image and the container execution. Yeah, it's apply complete, two resources are added. So let's see here. Okay, nginx image with the custom tag. It's a custom image tag is created. Let's see if container would be here. So the container name we mentioned as nginx container. So same we are able to see, and the custom image which we prepared. So let me just go and do the localhost. Let's see if we are able to the custom like the nginx like the in the index.html we replace the default page, right? So let's see. Let me just refresh it once. Yeah. So the custom index.html, which we mentioned, using that it is visible. So this is just for the demonstration purpose, and just to like everyone should understand it clearly what if using the base image and what we need to modify in your Terraform code if we want to use and do the customizations. So yeah, that's all for the today's demonstration. So if you have any queries or any suggestions as well, we are open for that. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Let me
Team, now we have open for the QA. If anyone have any doubts, you can ask. Yes, Christian. Hello.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
yes.
If it's possible, can I see the main TF?
Okay, Pradnya,
Okay,
can you share?
okay, yeah. Let me share the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You want to see the main.tf, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is any other person having any doubts?
Okay, so you have installed and the Terraform and the Docker, okay,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
Yeah.
it's connected with the terminal, okay, Windows terminal and this Microsoft Visual Shell. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Visual Studio. Yeah. VS Code.
Yeah, Vinay, you can ask. Hello. Hello, Vinay. I think you can ask question as you raised the hand.
Yeah. You can unmute yourself, and if any questions, you can ask. No issues.
yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible now.
Okay, so I asked that. Okay, so how? So you have already installed Docker and Terraform. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
how it is connected with the okay Windows terminal and the Microsoft Visual Shell? Okay. So by default, it will connect once we install the Docker, I mean, install the Terraform, or do we need to do some configuration or like that?
Nawaz, I
Oh
think
no.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Manoj, you can go ahead. No problem. Yeah.
Now, as when we doing this Terraform, we should connect our Azure with our terminal. Okay, one second.
Yeah. So I think Manoj, can I take it meanwhile?
Yeah, yeah, you can.
Yeah. So for today's demonstration for the Docker provider which we have used, so if your Terraform and Docker it's installed and like the Docker desktop should be available, then with the provider it can work. Like for the Docker, for the today's use case. Let's suppose you want to do it with the Terraform integration and using the Terraform, you want to deploy your resources on, let's suppose on Azure cloud or the AWS cloud. Then for that purpose, you need to provide some additional parameters. Like if it's Azure, then you need to provide your tenant ID or like the service principal kind of a thing for the authentication purpose that needs to be done. So for this use case, your Docker should be installed, your Docker desktop should be running so that it like overall it should work smoothly. But for the other cloud platforms, you should do the authentication part for the AWS or Azure, whatever you are using. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, thank you.
Is any other questions regarding this Terraform or any Docker related things?
I think Vinay has
Yeah. When
pinged in the
you are
chat.
not able to talk, you can type the message.
Yeah, Vinay, are you asking about the session recording? Vinay, you can unmute yourself.
Wait. Yeah, Vinay, you can use VS Code online also without installing this in desktop. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I think is any other question? How to create this Terraform code like that things?
In chat box, there is one more question. You can take it, Pradnya.
Just a minute.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
okay, Anup, regarding your question. So for this the build section, yes, we can additionally mention like as per the requirement when we want to do it in the custom way. So for it again, as I explained you when like we walked through the official documentation of the Docker provider or any provider which you are going to use, we need to go through that, and accordingly we need to like we can mention it, so we can do the customization for that. If any such like the customized ones, if you want for the more details, then I'm already over the LinkedIn, if you can see, I'm already launched the 10 days Docker challenge. So in that as well, for the last 3 days, the real-time use cases I will be sharing. So in that I will try to answer and help you using these kind of a things. So stay connected.
Yeah. We have another question, Pradnya. Sai Bharat. As you mentioned the doubt, right, Sai Bharat, we can build our own custom image here. We can do any image. We can take like Nginx. We can use our own commands and we can rebuild our image according to our views. Is your doubt is clear, Sai Bharat? Hello? Yeah.
Manoj, yeah, it's just replied.
Yeah, there is, we have another question. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
No, no. It is not a, okay. Session schedule.
Manoj, maybe you can answer for
Yeah,
the
sure.
upcoming schedule. So yeah.
Yeah, we can. We will come like the sessions on this AWS Cloud Terraform and how we can build this code exactly. You stay connected and you touch in the career byte code and you will see that sessions upcoming session on Terraform.
Yeah, in the similar way, if you want any other use cases or like it's been mentioned by Dipti Rajan, so if any additional things or use cases you want, you can just let us know in the chat box, or maybe you can connect with me, Manoj, or Sonali over the LinkedIn handle. So I think it's been mentioned in the chat.
And another one request here, we are looking for some small space in your organization or anywhere, so that we can come and present like this use case in the live, so that we can interact more, and we can get discussion also more. And once session is completed, we will provide that code also. There you can bring your own company colleagues and your friends, everyone, so that everyone can learn and grow here. If you have like that opportunity, you can just inform us, we will come there.
Okay, Vinay, to answer your question, so this recording will be uploaded on the Career Byte Code official YouTube channel. So once it is uploaded there, we'll update you. So stay tuned there.
Okay, we have another question, Pradnya, from
Okay.
Ridwan.
Okay, just a minute. Oh, it's in the chat box, Manoj.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I missed it. I think from question from whom? Sorry.
There is one question from Anup. Can you take it?
Mm,
Just give me a
yes, yes, I'm
second.
looking at that one also. No, Anup. Once you provision that file using the Terraform main and provider.tf, the code will not change. Okay, but you need to look out how you are accessing the web, because whatever code you executed previously, the same code will execute this time also. If you have any further doubt, you just ping me, I will suggest somewhere, or you can provide that code also.
Yeah, maybe you can share that code where exactly you're fixing the issue. Maybe if possible, will help you on that. But yeah, as Manoj mentioned, there will be no change. The same provider.tf and main.tf, you can use it.
Okay. Yeah, Sai Bharat. We can use a Terraform also to create this Docker images. There is no issue. This is also one kind of resource, so we can. But most of the companies don't go with Docker for this image. But we are showing the option. We have the option that we can create Docker images using Terraform, because most of the companies are going to like pipeline to build the Docker images, those things here. Means, and also here for Docker, we are Terraform, we are going to use to create the infra like a VMs cluster, a load balancer, DNS configuration, and also internet providing to our private server using gateways like in AWS. Like that stuffs we are going to do with the Terraform, purely like infra level things. So we can make it like a similar, so that we can reuse the code for multiple environment. The main core concept of Terraform, use of Terraform, is that one, a reusable of code for to create the infrastructure.
Yeah, Manoj, but my doubt is like for the Docker building, like while creating a Docker image, so we need to
Hmm.
use some like commands, same like Terraform in it, right? So like that, we do have the some of the commands. So using these Docker commands, so will it be possible to like create an image using this Terraform code? I mean to
Yes,
ask that.
Yes.
it will we can use, but always you need to trigger that Terraform. Okay. plan init and apply. So better option is here, you go with pipeline or Docker image to create that one. So there you just put your code in the GitHub and you enable in your pipeline the poll SSEM, so that it will pull your code and it will create the image and it will push your image to some registry, whatever you configure. That is a better way solution here to achieve this your image
Okay.
creation. So that will be like a completely automation you are going to do there.
Okay.
Yeah. Is any further any queries here?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, John.
Yes, John.
Okay, at what point do we have the Terraform state file in this demonstration? Do we have like a Terraform state file, or is there a way you can also explain on that?
Uh,
Okay.
y- yeah, yes, we have a Terraform state file here, but as the overall, considering the time constraints and everything, I didn't explain about the Terraform state file and its importance. So, yeah, so again, like as you mentioned, for the Terraform state file, so it's again when you execute the code, like I can say it's a heart of a Terraform. Whatever you have in your infrastructure, whatever is deployed, so that will be stored in your state file. So it plays a vital role actually in this execution. So when, let's suppose if you miss the Terraform state file or it's corrupted, in that case there will be the issues, the Terraform. And after that, if you execute the Terraform code again and your infrastructure is already built, in that case this there will be no link, it will not get to know, otherwise the duplicacy or such other issues will be there. So that's the reason this Terraform state file, it's really important.
And also, John, once you lost the Terraform state file, we can't manage those resource using our Terraform, because we will lost that what all resource we have created there.
Let me just share the screen so that a state file point of
Yeah.
view we can.
That is a JSON file basically.
Yes. So I hope the screen is visible. So this maintains all the data, whatever we have executed, what exactly it is. So every time if you execute, so this will be updated. So all the details will be we can see in the state file. So it keeps the track of whatever infrastructure you have built using the Terraform.
Yeah, Ketan. As you asked the question, like secure the Terraform state file, yes, it is possible. In the AWS, you can do that state file available in the S3 bucket. You can
Yeah.
directly upload there, so you can secure means, and also you can give locking that state files also. Yes.
Yes, correct. The backend functionality which we have in the Terraform, using that we can secure the Terraform state file. In Azure, we can use the
You can just
yeah.
go with S3 bucket also. That is also fine with the restriction
Yes.
of the deleting objects in the S3 bucket. So no one can delete our state
Thank
files.
you.
Yeah, John.
Thank you.